to Parisite DIY skate park. This is the worst skate park in New Orleans. It's also the only skate park in New Orleans. And I'm one of the people who built it, Skylar Fein. And skaters started building under this highway illegally, or it was a non-permitted build, as we say around City Hall. And everything was going great. We were jackhammering into the concrete and cement mixers were rolling up and we were pouring. And everything was going great until some engineers from City Hall showed up one day and said, put down your trowels, y'all are gonna stop building. And all my friends sat down on the ground and said, what if we don't? And the engineers said, well, we'll come back and knock it all down and we'll have you arrested. It's felony property destruction. And the skaters sat down on the ground like this. And the engineers looked at them like this. I took a picture of that moment, which was this kind of standoff between the powers that be under the highway and the powers that be over the highway. And I was determined at that moment, I was going to be the guy who made sure that this skate park didn't get knocked down. And I had no idea how I was going to do that. I didn't know if it was going to mean chaining myself to a bulldozer. I was willing to do that though, whatever it took. This was not going to be knocked down. This is the first thing that we ever gave out at City Hall. This was how we announced our existence. They already knew about us, and they had sent some city engineers up there to tell us to knock it off. So we went to a city council meeting, and we put one of these on every chair. Say hello to transitional spaces. We were letting them know that we actually had an organization and that we were organized, although how organized or disorganized we were, we kept playing those cards close to our chest. But we introduced ourselves as the builders of the Paris Avenue DIY skate park, which they'd heard about. And we were also teaching them a little bit about us. DIY, do it yourself, you see, because city council didn't know anything about that. And inside this pamphlet that we gave out, we told them about our goal, which was to help the city see the value in a skater-designed, skater-built park. We even showed them that we had kind of construction diagrams of the highway that we were under and what we had built to scale. And we told them what goes on there. It's a safe place for all ages, a cool place to volunteer, friendly place to learn, and a skate park the city can be proud of. So we were setting the tone here. Reasonable, mature, problem solvers. Not people who came to them with problems, but people who made problems and then came to them with solutions. And we also, on the back page, told them who we are. They were calling us the Peach Orchard, and we had to tell them that the Peach Orchard was no more, which is why I called this little section, What Was the Peach Orchard? In the past tense, to tell them it existed. It got knocked down by Norfolk Southern, and they were dealing with the second iteration of those people. We were the version 2.0, the lawbreakers. If you look at the contact us, I'm the last name on the list. Within 2-3 years, all those people had left. I was the last person from the founding group left in any sort of leadership role. And what happened was that some people started a DIY skate park and didn't stick around to take responsibility for it. That's not a crime, but it is what happened. And this was the first sticker that I ever made for the park, Parisite, where skateboarding really is a crime, turning a popular skateboarding motto that it's not a crime around where it is a crime because we were criminals. I was able to go to City Hall and make some friends there, convince enough people under the bridge that I was working for good, not for evil, in a partnership with the city. 2 years later, we got the park legalized. It's part of the city parks network, and it's an official city park. It's part of public parks in New Orleans, covered by the city's blanket liability policy for recreational spaces. And we were able to raise maybe $200,000 using Kickstarters and some grants to continue to build. The builds that we did are safe, they're up to code, they're legit, they're not janky, and I'm proud of it. I think we all are. As we started to get legalized, one of our people, Jackson Blalock, met Emily Taylor, who was running something called Tulane City Center. It's been renamed, and hit it off. And she encouraged us to apply for a Tulane City Center build. So I guess twice a year, they encourage their students to go out in the world and design and build something, and they oversee that and fund it. And we applied and we got it. And Tulane City Center ended up designing and building the entrance to the park, which is landscaped. They paid to paint a sign, Parisite Skate Park, on the side of the interstate. We had a graffiti artist who wrote Nugs, one of the few female graffiti artists in New Orleans, Heidi, paint it, and we actually got the permission of the DOTD, which was insane. And they also built benches and bike racks. But having the name Tulane to list on everything we printed at that time, that was a big boost in our credibility around City Hall and made us look a lot better than we were, I think. Although they would disagree. I think Emily would say, no, you really were that good and organized, but we felt like we were shambles, and they elevated us. So this was our first really big permitted build, where we drew up plans, we had them stamped by architects and engineers, and they went through the permitting process, going through the Parks Department, City Hall, and then the DOTD, getting the nod from the Federal Highway Administration. And you know, they had needs. The DOTD didn't want us to get within 3 feet of any of the columns that support the highway. Our original plans were going to go right up to the columns. But if you do that, then they can't inspect the columns, and they do inspect the columns. And it's good that they inspect the columns. Once a year, somebody comes and takes a look at it, makes sure that it's not cracked or anything like that. And I think they also want to be able to knock down your ramps without also knocking down the columns, should that come to pass. So they did chime in with responses to our plans in ways that forced us to change the plans. And we did what they asked. We were required to put up the yellow handrail back of that little bowl over there to prevent people from falling. That's code. We did that. Things that skaters wouldn't require, but public agencies do, and as well they should. This is a high quality build. I mean, this will be here after I'm gone. I mean, if the highway is, this will outlast the highway. We also at one point replaced the sort of dingy yellow street lamps with bright white LED bulbs, and you could see one of them lasting over there. I was trying to find a glass bowl that would fit over it, and there isn't one. So I found, I think, a 16-quart food service container, and it fit perfectly. So we just bought these 16-quart food service containers, like at Restaurant Depot and stuff, and used those to protect the LEDs that we put up. And you can see here, people end up taking wax at them with bats and stuff like that. I mean, why? I don't know. It's a public park. People do weird things. So they get smashed and shattered. And I can see a number of them are smashed and need replacing and stuff like that. It's no longer in my wheelhouse. So when I was running the park, see this? All this trash?
Yeah.
That would never be there. That would all be picked up every week. So there's a lot of trash piling up. The park does not look that well maintained. A lot of broken lights, burnt out lights. That's a bad thing. Creates an atmosphere of unsafety. But you know, we put in this outlet on the side that we tapped into the city's power. I'm pretty sure it's disconnected now because people were pulling up in RVs and like living in RVs here. It was a bad situation. And they were just trashing the joint. I had to disconnect, and I think it's probably stayed disconnected because you have to open that box and you have to know what you're doing. See, it's why we can't have nice things.
Hold a vigil to honor a man killed at a skate park Thursday. Someone fatally shot 22-year-old David McGee that night at Parisite Skate Park on Pleasure Street. McGee's mother says her son was a good man who tried to unite everyone.
They shot him down in cold blood over nothing. My child was free spirit, peacemaker. You see the love here? It didn't matter what race.
Mourners lined up skateboards to honor the 22-year-old. New Orleans police have not arrested anyone in connection with the shooting.
And they shot him down like a dog, right by his favorite ramp, which is right over there where they did the memorial.
The investigation is ongoing.
Some people were like, why can't you have a first aid kit? It's open. And why can't there be Narcan in it? Because somebody did OD here. I was like, fuck. I mean, it's a nice idea, but like you realize that would be just cleaned out every morning.
Yeah.
Cleaned out, empty. It was like, who's restocking it every day? Where's that coming from? My final dream was to get the skate park under the city's capital budget and to get some public funding flowing to the park. And we gave them copies that were like a little fancier than this black and white one, but here we tell them about the problems of the park. Only 40% of the park's footprint is built, 60% of our square footage is empty space, and that most of that empty space is cracked concrete and unskatable surfaces and home-built ramps that are wearing badly and which are unsafe. And we're proposing, here's the picture of the park, sort of satellite picture, showing them the 60% of the park that's not built and which is unskatable, cracked, and has exposed aggregate surfaces, exposed ag concrete, little pebbles kind of on top. Can't skate that. And here was our proposal: to build out the T in the center with public money. And we had asked the park skaters what they wanted to see there, and we knew what they wanted to see. And we gave them some renderings that were done by students of the architectural landscape design program, rather at LSU, and some architecture students from Tulane. I wanted them to know that Parisite actually had some national attention. And we told them that Parisite is more than a park. Let's do it justice. And this showing us what it looked like before we started building some scrappy wood ramps. And always ending with the staff list, so they knew that they could communicate with us. We were sane and organized, sort of.
Any words of advice for people that, maybe are trying to legitimize a DIY spot like this?
This place only exists because some people broke the rules. That's true. And if we hadn't broken the rules, it wouldn't be here, and there probably still wouldn't be a skate park in New Orleans. So breaking the rules matters. You have to break them judiciously, and when you're popped, you have to know when to stop.